Joe Goldie, Certified Financial Planner with Highland Financial Advisors. So today I want to talk to you about the number one question I get from clients. Over the years, I've heard this question more than any other, and the answer to this question is very important, especially for my divorcees and my widowed clients. But before I get into that, if you're new to the channel, I invite you to hit subscribe down below, and if you hit the little bell, you'll get notified every time we release a video just like this one. The number one question I get asked is, how do I best educate myself? What are the best sources of information that are reliable and trustworthy so I can start educating myself? Especially if you're going through a divorce, or if you're widowed, you just lost your partner, you're now in charge of making some financial decisions that you may not have had to make in the past. Everyone feels more empowered and gives you some peace of mind when you feel like you're educating yourself and you know the decisions that you're making are the best ones for you and your family. So how do you do that? So two areas that I'd like you to avoid in terms of kind of bad sources of information as you're trying to educate yourself. The first is salespeople who inherently have a conflict of interest and put their commissions ahead of your best interest. So what I mean by that is certain professionals get paid by commission. There's a lot of really good professionals out there who do get paid by commission. That's perfectly okay as long as you know how much they're making and they're upfront about those costs. We had a situation, we helped a client who came to us. This was a number of years ago, is a quick story. She came to us and lost her husband a few years prior, and she was looking for information. She was trying to educate herself. She went to her insurance salesperson, who she is the only person she knew, and that person, kind of under the guise of trying to help her, wound up selling her way more life insurance than she needed. And it wound up costing her several tens of thousands of dollars in the end. That once she came to us, we started to unwind that and we got her in a much better place. But from those couple of years that she started talking to this person till the time she met us, it really cost her quite a bit of money. And that's exactly the type of example that I want you to avoid when you're trying to educate yourself. Be careful on how people are getting compensated. Again, there's a lot of really good professionals out there who get paid by commission. Just make sure you understand it well. So the second source of information that I think is something I want you to avoid is friends and family that mean well but are overly emotional. So maybe they just recently went through a bad divorce, or they lost their spouse. They may still not be thinking clearly. They may still have a lot of emotions. Although they mean well and they're trying to help you, it's not the best place to get information as you're trying to educate yourself. It's really coming from an emotional place rather than a logical place. So kind of unscrupulous salespeople and overly emotional friends and family are two areas that I'd like you to avoid. Now, three really good places to get information as you're trying to educate yourself. The first is your professional network. So in a previous video, I talked about how to build out your professional network if you're going through a divorce. Those professionals are a great source of information. So you've got your wealth advisor, you have your accountant, your family attorney, maybe a real estate agent, an insurance professional, maybe a mediator. The key thing here is ask lots of questions and take lots of notes. As you're talking to your professionals, don't be afraid to ask the question why. Make sure you fully understand why they're making a recommendation, how they're getting paid, and when they give that answer and that rationale on why they're recommending something, don't be afraid to ask more questions and maybe make sure to take notes on that as well. So the second source is social media groups. If you go to Facebook, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of groups that are focused on divorcees and widows. I like this because you can really interact with other people. You can kind of learn from their mistakes. People are sharing ideas. I like that interaction when you find a good group. The challenge here, I'll tell you, is, again, there's thousands of different groups out there. So what I would recommend is try to be specific on what groups you are looking for. So for example, high net worth divorcees or divorcees over 50. The more specific you get, the groups will have less members, but I think you'll find the information a little more relevant. The third source of good information is books and podcasts. There are tons of great books out there on all different topics. I personally love books. I like to be able to take my time, reread something until I can really digest it and understand it. Too many books to mention here, but I will list some of my favorites down in the description below the video. And podcasts, super popular right now. They're also great if you don't have the time to read a book, just to listen on your commute in. Tons of really good podcasts on how to educate yourself after a divorce, or if you find yourself making financial decisions after the loss of a spouse. Again, I'll recommend some of my favorite podcasts in the description below, and hope that helps.